I'm excited to partner with Skillshare for this video. So you've got your eyes on the Nikon Zf, or maybe someone got you one as a holiday gift or a birthday gift. Honestly, I don't know who that happens to. I don't know who gives gifts like that, but I'm just trying to speak it into existence for you. Either way, you'll need to make a decision on which lens to get first. Well, there are a lot of choices, obviously, but two of the most popular are the 40mm f2 Special Edition, especially since it ships as a kit lens with the ZF, meant to match the retro looks of the camera, but another is the 50mm f1.8S, because for an S-line lens, considered the best glass on the Z mount, it's not as expensive as a lot of other S lenses, and its low profile also pairs well with the looks of the ZF. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Chris Hagan, a video producer and photographer in Portland, Oregon, and you can make a good case for picking up either of these two lenses. So we're going to go through the pros and cons and how I like to use them in the real world. But we're starting with how Nikon's breaking the rules with these two when it comes to the concept of the Nifty 50. Traditionally, across multiple brands and mounts, the 50mm f1.8 is a budget prime. It's small with a bright aperture, but makes sacrifices with image quality, but still, it's good for casual shooting. Just looking at the exterior of Nikon's 50mm f1.8S, it does not fit that description. I wouldn't call it a large lens or heavy, but it's not Nifty 50 small. However, the lens that does fit that Nifty 50 description is Nikon's 40mm f2. Small, good enough quality for what it is, not the sharpest, but a lot of fun and easy to use in a lot of situations. I think there's been a rise in the popularity of the 40mm focal length because it's almost as wide as 35, but just a little tighter for a bit more background separation. So the first difference between Nikon's 40 and 51.8, in my opinion, is their intended use. The 40 is the new Nifty 50 to me. It's a Nifty 40. And like I said before, being a bit wider means it's just easier to use in everyday scenarios. The 51.8, on the other hand, borders more on the high end, but without the high price tag. And we'll come back to that. The builds for these lenses, very different, which does affect results. The 40 is compact, not housing as much glass, but still focuses very quickly, probably because it doesn't need to move a whole lot around inside the lens. Wide open at f2, you get a little bit of vignetting, but nothing bothersome and honestly not even noticeable in a lot of situations. And you may see some green fringing along the highlights in the background if you pixel peep. But for an everyday lens, I really do love it. And I think a lot of people, at least from what I've seen and talked to others about, really appreciate the character of this 40mm f2. The 51.8S is physically longer with an autofocus manual focus switch and more thorough weather sealing, plus all the goods on the interior that make it a premium lens. I mean, look up the definition and standards for a Nikon S lens. There's very little to zero chromatic aberration in the images because of all the specialized glass. Vignetting is better controlled wide open than with the 40. The results are incredibly sharp, and that's honestly putting it lightly. It is insanely sharp. I actually dial it back sometimes. And if you care about such things, the bokeh, the background blur, is smooth and nice to look at. Everything just really pops with this lens. So on paper and within the images, you can see that the 50mm f1.8S is a technically superior lens. However, I think it's important to note that just because a lens naturally creates images that look one way or the other, super sharp or more vintage, more or less contrast, that doesn't mean those characteristics should limit your creativity. And that's where today's sponsor Skillshare can help. I recently took a class about finding your photography style and creating a consistent look, and it's helped me hone in on what I want out of my images no matter which lens I'm using. I've made it a goal to really lean into a style that I like and develop my own presets to stick with it, and what I'm learning on Skillshare is speeding up the process a lot. For example, I'd always considered style to be closely related to color, and it is, but in taking this class, I'd say I defined my style as leaning into dynamic light and using natural shadows to create contrast and frames within my images. There's literally a specific lesson on defining how to identify your purpose and preferences and more with your own photography. That's what I'm into. Skillshare is easy to join, and in terms of photography, there is a lot available from professional instructors with the experience and portfolios to support the lessons. There are also class projects to complete, which really help those lessons sink in. And I'll also say this, even if you are already a skilled photographer and don't think that's where you need to learn, what if you want to turn your photography into a business? What if you want to learn how to edit video to start your own YouTube channel? Or if you see the shelf I recently added to the set behind me, what if you need to learn how to DIY some home projects and finally fix that thing you've been looking at for months? Skillshare probably has a class on that too. So if you want to learn something new, take your knowledge to the next level and do it with real people and maybe connect with others along the way, the first 500 people to use my link in the description or scan the QR code will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So get started today. Now, before we give the 50mm f1.8s the crown, let's talk about how the design of these two lenses translates to real-world use. The small size of the 40mm makes it a lot more approachable. It's not going to draw as much attention when you're out shooting, and that's a big positive for street photographers, introverts, or anyone that doesn't want to be a distraction to the scene they're capturing. The special edition, which often ships with the ZF, shares the retro design that the untrained eye might mistake for a film camera. Just a little less conspicuous, for lack of a better term. I like it because I use the ZF a lot for family moments. Quick, simple captures, and I wouldn't want anyone to be intimidated if I was at a coffee shop or the park or on a walk or anything like that, and they saw me using the camera or they saw it pointing in their direction for any reason. Now, I don't think the 50mm f1.8 is as intrusive as something like a zoom lens or some of Nikon's 1.2 primes that are pretty big, but it's just going to be a little more noticeable compared to the 40. Personally, I've shot with both while out and about with family and friends, but I do still lean toward the 40 in those instances because it's more chill. Now, the advantage of the 40 and 50's minimal-ish design is how easy they are to use with an on-camera flash. I talked about it in a couple of videos that I made about Godox's IT20 and IT30 Pro on-camera flashes, but when you're using a small flash that sits directly on top of the body, larger lenses like zoom lenses will block the flash's light and cast a shadow. That's not the case with these two options. The IT20 and IT30 Pro, and likely a number of small flashes that keep the camera's low profile, will work just fine. The next thing I want to talk about speaks more to the versatility of the ZF than anything else, but here's another way I look at these two lenses. I think of the 40mm as a transformative lens that completes the throwback design. That's what makes it come off as a casual camera. The form factor makes it more capable of being an everyday carry if you don't mind a little extra size. But the 50, capable of pro-level sharpness, transforms the ZF in a different way. The camera on the inside is a powerhouse. Despite its retro exterior, it's as capable of being a photography workhorse as you want to make it. Plenty of people shoot events and weddings and portraits and all the things with the Nikon Zf. Depending on the lens you run with it, you can do anything with this camera. And I think that is where the 50mm f1.8s comes in. This is a lens that can not only be an everyday carry, but if you're a portrait or wedding or lifestyle or product or food or editorial or really any kind of photographer, you can absolutely start earning some business with this thing because of the quality. No, it's not as fast as some 1.4 or 1.2 glass, but it's got plenty of pop and the color and contrast is spectacular. It excels with people and places and products and everything you'd shoot in just about any situation, and I'd have no problem with this being my only lens. And that's not something I thought I'd ever say either. My comfort zone, as I've talked about a lot on this channel, is 35mm. But using just this lens for a day when we were on a family trip in San Diego last year, I got everything I wanted from it. It was on the tight side for a few of the shots right in front of me, but we managed. And when I had the space, I was able to get some decent landscape looks too. But the strike zone is in that medium distance, like 3 to 7 or 5 to 10 feet away, really giving the subject some great background separation while still seeing enough of the environment. And in saying all of those good things about the 50, you can see the dilemma and why there's this debate. The image quality and ease of use with the 51.8 can absolutely make the little bit of added size worth it. You just got to think about how you want to use these lenses. If the ZF is going to be your casual camera and you don't want it to feel like your work setup, the 40mm is great and you'll love the look and you'll love the photos. For the record, I own both lenses and use the 40 most often, mainly because I like the smaller size while still getting the image quality of a full frame sensor. It's kind of taken the place of my X100VI lately. But if I really want something to pop, or I'm making some photos where quality is the biggest priority, think, you know, major family moments. I think of my daughter's first memorable visit with Santa, which I ended up printing on some of the Christmas cards. That's when the 50mm comes out. Still, that's just my approach. And a lot of you and your comments are what helped push me to pick up the 50mm in the first place. No one's ever had a bad thing to say about that lens, especially considering the price. Post-tariff pricing has unfortunately pushed it to almost $700, but Nikon often has it listed at a discounted price. I think at the time of working on this video, it's down to $469 on sale. You can also find it on some of their refurbished sales even lower, like the $400 range. And obviously, if you pick up a used copy like I did for less than $500, you can save that way as well. To get one of the sharpest modern lenses available at that price is crazy good value. And if you don't take my word for it, again, just search a few forums and you'll see nothing but praise. And as we talk about price, I'd also say that's why I own both of them, because combined, I mean, you might spend $700 or $800 on two lenses that I think you'll get a ton of use out of. But if you did have to pick just one, I'm curious what you'd go with. Of course, there's also TT Artisan's 40mm f2 now, and it is also a very good lens and budget friendly, but that's a topic for another video, which I have already done. I'll put a link to it up here-ish somewhere. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks again to Skillshare for partnering on this video, and I'll see you again soon.